Ever imagine steering your car with your feet?
Sounds crazy, right?
It does. But in sim racing, using the throttle and brake is like this hidden level of control,
Yeah, you really can get much smoother
and even faster.
and faster. But it's more than just going fast. It's like manipulating the weight of the car.
Okay, so like how does that even work? I mean, I thought the steering wheel was for, well, steering?
It is. But your feet, they play a crucial role too,
Okay, so break it down for me.
right? So think of the car like a seesaw.
A seesaw.
Yeah, when you hit the brakes, the front dives down, and when you accelerate, the back kind of dips.
Huh. Okay.
So sim racers, they use this to their advantage, like a dance between their feet and the pedals.
I'm picturing this seesaw thing in my head, but I don't totally get how that helps you control the car.
So let's break down what happens during acceleration, braking, and cornering.
Okay.
So first, when you accelerate, weight shifts to the rear, increasing grip on the back tires.
Okay, that makes sense.
But sometimes this can lead to understeer.
Understeer, that's when the front tires lose grip and the car just plows straight ahead.
Exactly, like you're trying to push a shopping cart with a wobbly wheel.
So that's what's happening when I enter a corner too fast and end up in the gravel.
Well, slowing down is always a good idea.
Right.
But if you really understand weight transfer, it can help you avoid going off track in the first place. By managing the weight transfer, you can actually use understeer and oversteer, its opposite, to your advantage.
Hold on, oversteer? That sounds even worse than understeer.
It can be, if you're not ready for it. Oversteer is when the rear tires lose grip and the car starts to spin out.
Oh yeah, like doing a donut.
Exactly, that's oversteer.
Okay, so understeer and oversteer are both about losing grip, just on different ends of the car. But how do I use that to my advantage?
It's about being really smooth and
Yeah.
getting the timing right. For example, imagine you're approaching a tight corner.
Okay.
As you enter, you slightly lift off the throttle. This shifts weight forward, increases grip on the front tires, and allows you to turn in much more sharply.
So instead of just hitting the brakes, I should be thinking about using the throttle to help me steer into the corner.
Yeah. And braking has a huge role too, not just in slowing down, but also in rotating the car.
Rotating.
Yeah, to help it turn more effectively.
Wait, I thought the steering wheel was for rotating the car.
The steering wheel gets the turn started, but you can make it better with the brake, especially with a technique called trail braking.
Trail braking. That sounds like some serious sim racing stuff.
It might sound intimidating,
Yeah.
but it really is a game changer. It's all about slowly releasing the brake pressure as you turn in, keeping just enough grip on the front tires to help the car smoothly rotate through the corner. You know how you sometimes overshoot a corner?
Yeah.
Trail braking helps you avoid that. It keeps the front tires glued to the track, allowing the car to pivot.
So I'm like using the brakes to steer into the corner. That seems a little counterintuitive.
I know, right? It does. But you're not slamming on the brakes. You're using them to manage the weight transfer. It's about finding that perfect balance point between braking and turning. Which brings us back to that dance we talked about.
All right, so I'm starting to get how it all fits together, but it sounds like a lot to manage throttle control, braking, turning, and now this whole trail braking thing. How do I even start coordinating all of that?
It's kind of like learning an instrument, like the piano or guitar or something.
This
It takes practice, but once you get it, it's like second nature. Think of steering with your feet as a symphony, where the gas and the brake are working together in a dance of weight transfer.
Okay, I like the symphony analogy, but give me a real world example. Like, how would I use this in a tricky set of corners?
So let's say you are driving the S-curves at Suzuka.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one.
It is, yeah, even for experienced sim racers.
Okay.
Okay, so as you're approaching the first curve, you'd want to lift off the throttle, shifting weight forward,
Okay.
and use light braking to get some grip on the front tires.
And then as I'm turning in, I would slowly release the brake, using trail braking to rotate through the S.
Yes. Now here's where it gets interesting. As you transition through the rest of the curves, it's all about these small adjustments to the throttle and brake to stay balanced. A little gas here, a little brake there. It's like you're having a conversation with the car.
So it's not just about learning the track, it's about feeling how the car responds.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the satisfaction comes in, feeling the car move through those corners perfectly. And you know what? Once you start to understand these techniques, even watching real racing is more fun.
You mean I'll be able to see professional drivers steering with their feet?
Oh yeah, you'll start to notice those little movements they make with the throttle and brake.
Right.
They move the weight around. It's like a secret language with the car.
Now that you mention it, I've watched F1 races and wondered how they stay in control at such high speed. But now I'm realizing there's so much more to it.
Yeah, it really shows how skilled these drivers are. They aren't just steering with the wheel. They're using everything, even their feet, to get the most out of the car.
So basically, I can improve my own sim racing and also understand real racing at a deeper level.
Exactly. It's like a whole new world opens up.
That's pretty amazing. I'm ready to hit the track, but where do I even begin?
Well, first you got to just focus on smooth inputs. Don't be jerky or anything. Think fluidity, be precise.
Okay, so smooth and controlled. What else?
Just pay attention. Notice how the car responds to every little thing you do. Does the front end push wide when you hit the gas too hard?
Yeah, huh?
What happens when you let off the gas too fast?
It's like learning the TARS language or something.
Yeah. The more you drive, the more you'll understand those little cues.
So it's about developing a feel, almost like a sixth sense.
I like that. A sixth sense for weight transfer. And don't be afraid to experiment. Try different braking points. See what happens. Figure out what works for you.
This all makes a lot of sense, but I'm a little intimidated. Mastering this will take a ton of practice. What if I get frustrated?
Oh, that's totally normal.
Yeah.
Just remember that even the best drivers had to start somewhere. Just enjoy the process, celebrate the small victories, and don't worry about being perfect.
You're right. Sometimes I forget that sim racing should be fun.
Exactly. Just enjoy the process. Trust me, when you nail that perfect corner, balancing the throttle and brake just right, there's no feeling like it.
That's what keeps sim racers coming back for more, that constant improvement and challenge.
Absolutely. That's what makes sim racing so great. It's a world where you can always learn and improve.
So, since we're talking about improvement and this whole idea of steering with your feet, does that mean the weight of the driver actually matters in sim racing?
That is a good question. It's something people in sim racing talk about a lot.
So what's the answer? Does my weight really affect how I drive virtually?
Well, it's complicated.
Oh, come on. You got to give me more than that.
Okay. So in theory, yeah, a heavier driver would have a lower center of gravity.
Yeah. Okay.
And that could make the car more stable. Think about those low sports cars that are really planted to the road.
So all those late night snacks are giving me a competitive advantage.
Well, not quite. In real life, a driver's weight is fixed, right?
Yeah.
But in sim racing, you can usually change it in the settings.
Ah, okay.
It just depends on how the game is made.
So some games might be more realistic than others?
Right.
So I can't just max out my weight and become a champion?
Probably not. A heavier car could be slower, especially on the straights.
Makes sense.
It's all about balance. And honestly, driver weight is just one small thing.
So what are the more important things? Like what should I really be focusing on?
The things that you have control over.
Okay.
Like your technique, how you set up your car, and knowing the track. Mastering weight transfer with your feet, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
But also think about things like where to brake, the best line through a corner, and how different car setups affect how it handles.
Okay, so no shortcuts, just got to put in the time.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And remember, sim racing isn't just about being the fastest.
Yeah.
It's about pushing yourself and the car to the limit.
This deep dive has seriously opened up sim racing for me. I'm excited to actually try all of this stuff out.
That's great. Just remember to be smooth, be patient with yourself, and most importantly, have fun. All right, so you're locked in, ready to go deep on something that's causing a real stir in the sim racing world. We're talking iRacing special events and this whole Smurfing issue that's got everyone fired up.
Yeah, definitely seems to have struck a nerve.
Big time. Seems like folks are hungry for some clarity on what it is, why it matters, and what can be done. So that's our mission today. Using this article we're going to break it all down.
This is good. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first things first, Smurfing. What we're talking about here is seasoned iRacers. These are the veterans, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're creating these alternate accounts, but intentionally keeping their iRating low.
Right.
And for anyone listening who might not be super deep in iRacing, think of iRating like your skill ranking. Higher number, tougher competition.
Exactly. So you're basically sandbagging to get easier races.
Exactly. And the thing is, this isn't just some rare thing happening on the fringes. This article's calling it systemic, especially in special events.
And that's really where the issue gets amplified.
All right, because these special events, these aren't just your average hop-in race.
Absolutely not. These are the big ones.
Huge.
Daytona 24, Nürburgring, Petit Le Mans, Sebring. We're talking weeks or even months of prep.
Yeah, teams, drivers, putting in the hours, the strategy, the whole 9 yards. The article calls these events the soul of iRacing, milestones.
Yeah, and rightfully so.
So when you've got Smurfs sneaking in, well, it's not just annoying, It really messes with the whole spirit of these events.
No kidding. Imagine putting in all that effort only to find out some of your rivals are basically playing down a level.
Totally. It's demoralizing, and the text even suggests it's driving some people away from the platform altogether.
And I can see why, especially for newer drivers who are still finding their feet. It can feel impossible to compete.
Right. And then there's the whole question of fairness. It undermines the credibility of these events, which are supposed to be the pinnacle of iRacing.
Totally agree. So the big question then is what can be done about it?
Right. What's iRacing's take on all this? Well, the article says the sporting code, which is their rule book, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't explicitly forbid smurfing. It mentions things like unsportsmanlike behavior and manipulating matchmaking, but the way it's enforced relies on players filing protests and gathering evidence.
It's pretty tough to do.
So you see how a lot of smurfers just slip through the cracks.
Uh-huh.
And that's what's frustrating for so many people.
It is frustrating. So what solutions are being tossed around?
Well, the article highlights a bunch of ideas coming from the community. Some are saying force drivers to use their highest rated account for special events, period.
That's a popular one.
Others are talking about a rating system that's tied to the person, not the account. Or maybe automatically flagging huge iRating drops right before big races, which could be a red flag.
Interesting.
There's even talk of disqualifying smurfers after the race if they're caught. Or a system where you have to register your main account for these special events.
So lots of different approaches being thrown out there.
Right. But the article does point out some potential roadblocks. Like actually implementing these solutions, it's probably going to take some serious investment from iRacing.
Makes sense.
Plus, there's the whole thing about multiple accounts actually being a source of revenue for them. So it gets a bit tricky.
Definitely a complex issue.
But you know what really got me in the article was when the author talked about the emotional side of all this. They say smurfing in regular races, yeah, it's annoying. But in special events, where people are so invested, it's devastating. These events are so huge for sim racers, the closest many will get to experiencing real endurance racing. So when that's undermined by smurfing, well, it's more than just frustrating.
Yeah, I can only imagine the disappointment.
Right. So to bring it all together, what we're looking at is a real threat to the integrity of iRacing's most prestigious events. Smurfing creates unfair competition, plain and simple. And while the community is coming up with potential solutions about the platform's rules and business model, well, they make it complicated.
No easy answers, it seems.
Definitely not. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the big question for all of us is what happens if this isn't addressed?
What are the long-term implications?
Exactly. The article suggests we could see a real erosion of trust, fewer people wanting to compete, and ultimately a community that just doesn't care anymore. That's a pretty bleak picture.
It is.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what the future holds for competitive sim racing if we don't find a way to tackle this.
Food for thought, for sure. And that's where we'll leave it for today. Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive.
See you next time.